The Blood of the Savannah, a Maasai warrior's story, African folktale series. Before I tell you this story, I need you to close your eyes for just one moment. Think of the person you love most in this world. Your mother, your child, your brother, the elder whose hands have always steadied you in the dark. Now imagine they are dying, and the only thing standing between them and death is you. This is not just a story. This is the story of Lekuta, son of dust, son of thunder, a young Maasai warrior who walked alone into the jaws of the night and faced a god. Stay with me, because when this story ends, you will never see fear the same way again. Welcome back, family, to African Echoes, where the ancestors speak and the old stories still breathe fire. If you are new here, I am so glad the Spirit guided you to this place.
I love you, Mama.
I love
Make
you
sure
too,
you
my
subscribe
treasure.
and hit that bell. Every story I tell is a piece of Africa's immortal soul, and you do not want to miss a single one. Now let us begin. In the valley beneath the great mountain Aldoinio Lengai, the mountain of God, there was a village called Enkiama. It meant place of rest, and for generations it was exactly that. The people of Enkiama were Maasai, proud, tall, unshaken. The men were warriors, the women were builders of worlds, and the elders were the memory of everything that mattered. At the center of this village lived a young man named Lekuta. He was 17 harvests old. His skin was deep as the earth after rain. His eyes burned like the last ember in a dying fire, full of something not yet named, something waiting. He was not the strongest warrior in the village. He was not the fastest, but the elders always said that Lekuta listened differently from other boys. When the wind spoke, he heard it. When the cattle grew restless at night, he understood why, before anyone else did. His mother, Naserian, whose name meant the gentle one, used to hold his face in her hands and say, "My son, God did not make you large. He made you deep, and depth will carry you further than any sword ever could." Lekuta would always laugh and say, "Mama, depth will not save me from a lion." And she would look at him with those eyes, warm and dark as still water, and say, "No, but it will teach you how not to become one." Lekuta had one great dream: to pass his rite of passage, the Unodo, and become a full Moran, a true warrior. To stand before his community, shaved and reborn, and say, "I am ready, I am worthy, I am the shield of my people." That dream felt close, so close he could taste it. But fate does not wait for
Me
readiness.
too. Your arms feel
It began
like home.
3 nights
They will
before
always
the new
hold you.
moon. A sound, not the sound of wind, not the sound of any animal known to man. Something deeper, something ancient, like the throat of the mountain, clearing itself before it speaks. The first night, 7 cattle were found dead at dawn. No blood, no wounds. Just gone from the inside, hollow, like the life had been pulled clean out of them. The second night, old Koichalo, the eldest of the elders, the man who remembered 4 generations, was found at sunrise sitting outside his hut. His eyes were open, but empty, alive but no longer present, as if something had reached inside his mind and taken the light. And the third night, it came for Naserian. Lekuta woke at midnight to the sound of his mother screaming, but not with her voice. The scream came from everywhere, from the soil, from the air, from inside his own chest. He ran to her hut, and what he found stopped his heart. Naserian lay curled on the floor, her body shaking like a leaf in a storm, her lips moving but making no sound. And around her, burned into the clay floor in a perfect circle, were footprints, not human, not animal. 7 toes on each foot, each print deep enough to crack stone. The village healer, old Mama Enko, came running. She looked at the prints, and for the first time in 40 years, her hands shook. Enkiama is under the shadow of Olabari. The name fell on the village like a stone dropped in still water. Olabari. Even the bravest warriors went quiet at that name. In the oldest stories, the ones told only in whispers, only by firelight, only when children were already asleep, Olabari was the beast of the between world. Half shadow, half bone, born in the moment between lightning and thunder. It did not kill with claws, it killed with absence. It fed on the vital force, the Enkiama, the inner life fire of the living. Those it chose, it drained slowly, one piece of soul at a time. No warrior had ever faced Olabari and returned. No weapon forged by man had ever touched it. And now it had its shadow over Enkiama, over Lekuta's mother. Lekuta looked at his mother's face. He had seen it every morning of his life, warm, strong, the first face he ever learned to love. Now it was pale as ash, distant, fading. He pressed her hand to his chest and made a promise in a voice so low, only God could hear. I will bring you back, Mama. I will go where no man has gone, and I will bring you back. Lekuta went before the council of elders at dawn. He stood straight back like a spear shaft and spoke. I will go to the Thornwood, I will find Olabari, and I will end this. The council was silent for a long moment. Then the second elder, a man named Kamoth, laughed, not with cruelty but with grief. Boy, you are not yet even fully initiated. You have not passed the Unodo. You carry no warrior's blessing. Lekuta looked at him and said one thing. Then bless me now. Another silence, heavier. It was Mama Enko who finally spoke. Olabari cannot be killed with iron. It cannot be burned. It cannot be cut or broken. The only thing that can face Olabari is something it cannot feed on, something that burns brighter than any life force it has ever tasted. Lekuta asked, what is that? Mama Enko looked at him for a long moment before she answered. Grief that has been transformed, pain that becomes purpose, a heart that has looked into the mouth of loss and chosen love anyway. She leaned forward, her ancient eyes drilling into his. The question is not whether you are strong enough, Lekuta. The question is whether your love is real enough. Because Olabari will reach inside you. It will show you your worst fears. It will offer you your greatest desires. And if your heart wavers, even for a breath, it will take everything. Lekuta did not blink. My heart does not waver, not when it comes to her. Mama Enko studied him for a long moment, then she nodded, once, slowly. She gave him 3 things before he left. A small pouch of red ochre, the color of warrior's blood, to paint his face, not as decoration, as declaration. A single white feather from the egret, the bird that follows cattle, that never abandons the herd. A symbol of loyalty so pure, it pierces shadow. And a name not spoken aloud, whispered only into his right ear, a name to call upon in the moment of greatest darkness. When you stand before Olabari and feel yourself disappearing, speak that name. Speak it from your belly, not your throat. The ancestors will answer. The Thornwood was not a place on any elder's map. You found it by walking toward the place where the air felt wrong, where your skin told you to turn back, and your feet kept going. Lekuta had been walking for an hour when the stars disappeared. Not behind clouds, they simply stopped, as if the sky above the Thornwood was a different sky entirely, older, emptier. And then he heard it. Not footsteps, not breathing, but the sound of absence itself,
My
a hollow
brothers, the
pulling,
fire unites
like
us
air
tonight.
being slowly
We
drawn
must stand
from a
together,
room through
strong
a
and
keyhole.
proud.
Olabari appeared before him. It was enormous, not in the way a lion is enormous, in the way silence is enormous, in the way grief is enormous.
These deeds
It
carry
filled
the
the
stories
space
of
it
our
stood
folk.
in, not with
They
body,
remind us of where
but with
we
the
come
suggestion of endless depth. And it spoke, not with sound, with feeling. It pressed meaning directly into Lekuta's mind like a hand pressing into soft clay.
Elders, hear me.
Child,
Our fire burns
you
bright,
are so small,
but the winds
and
of
you are
change
so
strong.
alone. And everyone you have ever loved will leave you. This is the truth of your life. Why fight it? Lay down, let me take the weight of it. You will feel nothing. Nothing is peace. Lekuta's legs shook, not from fear of Olabari, from the truth in the words. Because he had felt that exact thought, in the middle of the night when his father died 4 rainy seasons ago. When the world went quiet in a way it had never fully recovered from, he had thought it would be easier to feel nothing. Olabari reached toward him with that hollow pull, and Lekuta felt it, the slow unraveling, like the thread of himself being pulled from the spool. His vision started to blur. He saw his mother's face. Not sick, not pale as she was, the morning face. The face that laughed at his jokes even when they were not funny. The face that touched his cheek when he thought no one was watching. The face that said without words every single day of his life, "You are enough, my son. You are more than enough." And something inside Lekuta, something in the deepest room of his chest caught fire. He opened his mouth. And he did not speak a warrior's boast. He did not speak a battle cry. He spoke her name, Naserian. And then, from somewhere deeper than sound, he spoke the name Mama Enko had given him. And the Thornwood shook. Olabari recoiled. Because it had fed on grief before, it had fed on fear and anger and despair. But this was the love of a child for the woman who first showed him what it meant to be alive. This was grief that had not collapsed, grief that had stood up, looked at the dark and said, "Not today, not her, not my mother." Olabari could not consume it. The light was too particular, too specific, too human. "What are you?" Lekuta stood straight. His voice was clear, absolute. "I am Lekuta, son of Naserian. I am the answer to everything you have stolen, and I am the end of you." What happened next, the elders would debate for generations. Some say Lekuta fought Olabari for 6 hours. Some say it was 6 seconds. In the between world, time is not a line. It is a river that folds back on itself.
Hope you had to receive the wisdom
but what every
of the
story
ancestors.
agreed on was
Let
this:
it guide you on your journey.
Lekuta did not defeat Olabari with strength. He defeated it by refusing to let it be true. Every vision it sent him, his mother dying, his village burning, himself forgotten and alone in the dark forever. He looked at it, felt it fully, let it hurt him completely. And then he said, that is not the whole story. Because grief is not the enemy. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. And Lekuta redirected it. Every wave of pain became a step forward. Every fear became a reason to push harder. Every vision of loss became a declaration of what he was fighting for. Until Olabari, for the first time in its ancient, hollow life, felt something it had no category for. It felt seen. Not consumed, not defeated, seen, by a boy who had walked into its darkness and refused to become darkness himself. And in being fully seen, truly seen, for what it was, ancient loss, unprocessed grief, pain so old it had forgotten it was ever pain, Olabari dissolved. Not with a roar, not with an explosion. With a sound like a long breath, finally released, after holding it for 10,000 years. Lekuta looked at his hands. They were shaking. They were real. He was still here. He laughed, and then he wept, and then he laughed again. Because he was alive, and because being alive, he now understood, was not ordinary, not even slightly ordinary. It was the most extraordinary thing that had ever happened. He returned to the village at sunrise. The cattle were calm. The elders were standing at the edge of the village, as if they had known, as if the land itself had told them. Mama Enko placed both hands on his face, and this woman who had not cried at the death of 4 husbands had
so
tears
strong.
running silently down her ancient face.
Make me proud.
The ancestors are satisfied. Lekuta pushed past the crowd. He ran to his mother's hut. Naserian looked up. And the moment their eyes met, there are no words for it. There are some moments in life that language was not made for. You just have to sit inside them and let them be what they are. He crossed the hut in 3 steps and held her. She held him back. And outside the village of Enkiama, the place of rest, exhaled together. The cattle lowed softly. The children began to play. The women began to sing. And old Koichelo, the eldest elder whose mind had been stolen, sat up from his bed, blinked once, and asked in a thin, groggy voice, "Is there food? I feel like I have not eaten in 1,000 years." 3 days later, before the whole community, Lekuta underwent the unodo. His mother shaved his head with her own hands. And as she did, she whispered to him what she had seen in her dream while she lay between worlds. She had seen him coming, a small figure made of light in a forest of darkness, walking without armor, walking with nothing but love as his weapon. She had thought only one person in this world would come for me like that. "My son, my Lekuta." She took his face in her hands and said, "You know what the ancestors told me while I was between the worlds."
We stand as one.
Lekuta shook his head, and she smiled.
And spirits will rise.
They said the greatest warrior is not the one who defeats the most enemies. It is the one who loves so fiercely that darkness has no room to stand. In the Maasai tradition, there is a concept called Enkiama, the inner fire, the life force. They believe this fire is fed not by what you consume, but by what you give. By love that asks for nothing in return. By courage that is not the absence of fear, but love deciding it is more important than fear. Lekuta was not the strongest warrior Enkiama ever produced. But the elders say, to this day, in the stories told by firelight, in the voices of grandmothers whispering to children who cannot yet sleep, that no darkness has returned to the valley since. Because some lights, once ignited, never go out. And that, my family, is the story of Lekuta, the boy who walked into the dark and brought his mother back from the edge of the between world. Africa's stories have always known something that the modern world is still learning, that love is not weakness. Love is the oldest, most dangerous, most powerful force that has ever existed. It outlasts kingdoms, it outlasts grief, it even outlasts death. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of someone you love, someone you would walk into the dark for, please share it. Put it in the hands of someone who needs to hear it tonight. Subscribe to
Come on, let's race to the big tree.
Because we have so many more stories waiting.
We're almost there.
Stories of queens and warriors, of tricksters and healers, of ordinary people who did extraordinary things because the love in their chest left them no other choice. Drop a comment and tell me who is your Lekuta, who would walk into the darkness for you. Tag them, let them know.
My son,
and until next time,
I will, mother.
May your Enkiama burn bright. May the ancestors walk beside you, and may the stories of Africa always find their way home.